United States, Los Angeles. When a young boy saves a woman's life, he has no idea that his act of kindness will change his life forever. His bravery leads to an unexpected reward from a millionaire that no one could have foreseen. Malik Carter, an 11-year-old boy, has lived a life full of struggle, surviving in a tough part of Los Angeles. Growing up in an environment where opportunities are scarce, Malik has learned to be resourceful. He navigates the streets with caution, always looking for ways to help his mother make ends meet. Despite their hardships, Malik remains determined, holding on to the hope that one day their situation will improve. His mother, working multiple jobs, does everything she can to provide for him, but life in their neighborhood is far from easy. Malik understands the challenges, and though he is still a child, he carries responsibilities far beyond his years. He spends his days running errands and doing odd jobs to help his struggling single mother. Whether it's carrying groceries for a neighbor or helping at the corner store, Malik takes every small opportunity to earn a little money. Every dollar he brings home helps keep the lights on, and he takes pride in doing what he can. He has learned that survival in their world means working hard and staying out of trouble. His mother always tells him that one day things will be better, but for now, Malik does what he can to help. He never complains, never asks for more than what they have. He just keeps moving forward, determined to be strong for his mother. Malik's life is about to take a dramatic turn when one fateful moment leads him to save the life of a woman in need. It starts as any other day. Malik is running an errand for a neighbor when he finds himself in a part of the city he doesn't visit often. The buildings are taller, the cars are nicer, and everything feels different from where he lives. As he makes his way down the sidewalk, he hears a sudden commotion. A woman screams, and before he can process what's happening, he sees her struggling. Time seems to slow as Malik realizes she is in danger, and without hesitation, he acts. He doesn't think about the consequences, he just knows that someone needs his help, and he can't stand by and do nothing. Little did Malik know, this single act of heroism would change everything for him and his family. What would you do if you saw someone in danger and had to act fast? Malik, working as a janitor in the Hawthorne residence, notices Mrs. Isabella Hawthorne, a woman in a pastel-colored bathrobe, stumbling out of the bathroom. He pauses for a moment, confused by her unsteady steps. Her face is pale, her breath shallow. Something is wrong. Malik watches as she clutches her chest in distress before collapsing to the floor in front of him, her body limp and unresponsive, sending Malik into a panic. His instincts scream at him to do something, but for a split second fear grips him. He has never been in a situation quite like this before. Malik has seen medical emergencies before while helping at the local clinic, and he rushes to her side. His heart races as he assesses her condition, trying to remember everything he has observed in the past. He checks for a pulse, pressing his fingers to her wrist, but he feels nothing. The reality of the moment slams into him. This woman is in serious danger. Without thinking, he begins performing CPR, desperately trying to save her life. His hands press firmly against her chest, counting each compression in his head. His breaths come fast, but he forces himself to stay focused. He cannot let her slip away. The weight of the responsibility is immense, but he pushes through, knowing that no one else is there to help her. As he continues his efforts, the door to the bathroom swings open, revealing Mr. Hawthorne's voice calling out in confusion. Malik barely registers it. He hears Mr. Hawthorne gasp. hears the hurried shuffle of feet, but he doesn't stop what he's doing. The man's panicked voice fills the room, demanding to know what's happening. But Malik doesn't look up. He doesn't explain. There is no time for that. He keeps his focus on Mrs. Hawthorne, his hands steady, as he administers chest compressions. Everything else becomes background noise. His only goal is to keep her alive. After what feels like an eternity, Mrs. Hawthorne regains consciousness, gasping for air. Malek feels an overwhelming sense of relief wash over him as she coughs weakly, her eyes fluttering open. He did it. She's breathing, but he knows she still needs help. Malik immediately calls for an ambulance, his voice steady, despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. He stays by her side, reassuring her even though his own heart is still pounding. He doesn't let go of her hand, doesn't move until he knows she is in the care of professionals. The tension is palpable, and as the paramedics arrive, Malik steps back, overwhelmed by what he just did. He watches as they take over, their hands moving quickly and efficiently. The flashing red and blue lights from outside reflect on the polished floors of the Hawthorne residence, a stark contrast to the chaos of the moment. Mr. Hawthorne is still in shock, his face pale, as he tries to make sense of what just happened. He glances at Malik, something unreadable in his expression. Malek, still catching his breath, doesn't know what to expect next. He had acted on instinct, not expecting anything in return. As the paramedics wheel Mrs. Hawthorne out, Malik stands there, his hands trembling slightly. The weight of it all finally sinks in. He had saved someone's life. A simple act of kindness, a decision made in a split second, had changed everything. He had no idea how this moment would shape his future, how this single act of heroism would set into motion a series of events that would change his life forever. But for now, he just watches as the ambulance doors close, wondering what comes next. Have you ever had to step up and help someone in a life-threatening situation? How did it feel? After Mrs. Hawthorne recovers, she thanks Malik profusely for saving her life. Her voice is filled with gratitude as she promises to reward him for his quick thinking and bravery. She clasps his hands in hers, her eyes brimming with emotion, as she assures him that his kindness will not go unnoticed. The way she looks at him, with deep appreciation and warmth, makes Malik feel something unfamiliar, pride mixed with disbelief. He never thought of himself as a hero, but in this moment, it seems like that is exactly what he is. However, Malik is still shocked by the events that just unfolded. He was just doing what anyone would do, but he never imagined that it would lead to such a grand gesture. He replays the moment in his mind over and over again, struggling to process everything. He wonders what would have happened if he hadn't been there that day. Would Mrs. Hawthorne have survived? Would someone else have stepped in to help? The weight of it all begins to sink in, and he realizes that life can change in an instant. His mother beams with pride when she hears what happened, hugging him tightly and telling him how proud she is of him. But even as he basks in the warmth of his mother's praise, something inside him feels unsettled. The next day, Malik is contacted by a lawyer representing the Hawthorne family. He's told that Mr. Jonathan Hawthorne wants to reward him with $700,000 for his heroic act. Malik nearly drops the phone when he hears the number. $700,000. It doesn't seem real. He and his mother have spent years struggling to make ends meet, stretching every dollar, scraping by on the bare minimum. And now, in the blink of an eye, everything is about to change. He doesn't know how to respond. He mutters a quiet, "Thank you," but his mind is racing. Is this a dream? Could someone like him really be given such a life-changing amount of money? Malik and his family are left speechless. They've always struggled to make ends meet, and suddenly their lives are set to change forever. His mother's eyes fill with tears when she hears the news. She whispers about paying off debts, moving to a safer neighborhood, finally having some security after years of uncertainty. For the first time in his life, Malik feels the crushing weight of financial struggle begin to lift. But with that relief comes something else: doubt. Why is Mr. Hawthorne offering so much money? Is this really just gratitude, or is there something more to it? But as the days go by, Malik starts to feel conflicted. He starts hearing whispers that Mr. Hawthorne's generosity might have another motive. Some of the people in his neighborhood warn him that nothing comes for free, that a man as wealthy as Mr. Hawthorne doesn't just hand out money without expecting something in return. At first, Malik brushes it off. This was a reward, not a deal. He saved a life, and Mr. Hawthorne wanted to thank him. But the doubt lingers. He recalls some of the subtle comments made by Mr. Hawthorne during their earlier exchanges, comments that made him feel uncomfortable. Had he missed something? Was there something deeper behind this act of generosity? The more he thinks about it, the more uneasy he becomes. Malik thought his life was about to change for the better, but now he isn't sure what to believe. What he thought was a blessing might be something much more complicated. What would you do if someone you helped gave you an unexpected, life-changing reward? Mr. Jonathan Hawthorne, a successful and influential businessman, explains in a private meeting with Malik that he has been following his wife's recovery and the details of the incident. The meeting takes place in Mr. Hawthorne's grand office, where floor-to-ceiling windows overlook the city skyline. The contrast between Malik's world and the luxurious surroundings is striking, but he keeps his composure as he listens carefully. He still doesn't know what to expect from this conversation, but he remains attentive, his heart pounding slightly, as he waits for Mr. Hawthorne to explain why he has been called here. He shares that he and his wife had been deeply moved by Malik's courage and selflessness. Mr. Hawthorne's voice is calm, but there's an undeniable weight behind his words. He recounts how Mrs. Hawthorne told him about the moment she regained consciousness, how she saw Malik's face filled with determination and concern as he fought to save her life. Mr. Hawthorne pauses, his expression unreadable, before continuing. It's rare to find someone willing to act so selflessly, especially at your age, Malik. That kind of courage is something I respect. But there's more to the story. Malik senses it before Mr. Hawthorne even says the words. Mr. Hawthorne reveals that he had been searching for someone to help him with a personal project to give back to the community, someone who could represent the values of kindness and selflessness. He leans forward, his gaze steady. "I've been working on something that I believe could change lives," he explains, "but it needs the right face, the right heart behind it." Malik listens, intrigued, but still unsure of where this conversation is going. He has never imagined himself in a position like this, let alone being chosen for something important by someone as powerful as Mr. Hawthorne. He wants Malik to be the face of a new initiative that provides scholarships, mentorships, and opportunities for young people from underserved communities like Malik's. "You understand what it's like to struggle," Mr. Hawthorne continues. "You know what it means to work hard, to want a better life for yourself and your family. That's why I believe you're the right person to represent this initiative." He explains that the program will provide education, career guidance, and financial support to children who come from backgrounds like Malik's. The goal is to give them the tools they need to create a future filled with opportunities that might otherwise be out of reach. Malik, stunned by the offer, is hesitant, unsure whether he's the right person for such an important role. But Mr. Hawthorne assures him that he sees great potential in him. "I don't need someone perfect," Mr. Hawthorne says, sensing Malik's doubt. "I need someone real, someone who can inspire others by showing them that change is possible." Malik shifts in his seat, taking in the gravity of what he is being asked to do. A part of him wants to accept immediately, to believe that he is capable of making a difference. But another part of him wonders if he's ready for this responsibility. He thinks of his mother, of the sacrifices she has made for him. He thinks of his neighborhood, of the kids who don't get the same chances as others. He realizes that this isn't just about him. It's about all the people who never got a helping hand, who were never given the opportunity to break free from the cycle of struggle. Maybe, just maybe, this is his chance to do something meaningful, not just for himself, but for so many others. Do you think it's possible for one act of kindness to change the course of someone's future? Why or why not? With the financial reward and the opportunity to work with Mr. Hawthorne's foundation, Malik begins to see the world in a new light. He no longer feels confined by the struggles of his past, but instead, he starts to embrace the possibilities of what his future could be. He moves through spaces that once seemed unattainable. Grand ballrooms filled with wealthy donors, networking events where powerful individuals discuss business deals and philanthropy. He shakes hands with people who have never known what it is like to live paycheck to paycheck, yet they listen to his story with admiration. It is an entirely new world, one that both excites and overwhelms him. He starts attending high-profile events, meeting influential people, and even gaining access to resources that were once out of reach. Education programs, mentorship opportunities, financial literacy workshops, things he never knew existed, are now at his fingertips. The foundation provides him with a platform, and suddenly, doors that had been locked tight before are beginning to open. People recognize him, wanting to hear his story, wanting to know how a boy from the toughest part of Los Angeles ended up sitting at the table with millionaires and CEOs. It is surreal, and Malik can hardly believe it himself. But with this newfound exposure comes a weight he was not prepared for. His newfound success does not come without challenges, though. Malik faces pressure from the community, the media, and even his own family as they struggle to adjust to his sudden rise. Some people from his neighborhood whisper that he has changed, that he's forgetting where he came from. The media paints different narratives. Some see him as a hero, while others question whether he deserves this opportunity at all. His mother, always his biggest supporter, is proud but also worried. She knows that sudden success can be just as dangerous as failure, and she reminds him constantly to stay true to himself. Malik tries to ignore the noise, but the pressure is real. He starts to wonder if he is really the right person for this role, or if he's just playing a part in someone else's vision. But Malik remains grounded, continuing to give back to his community and share his story with others who need hope and inspiration. Despite the doubts, despite the challenges, he remembers why he agreed to this in the first place. He wants to make a difference, to show kids from his neighborhood that success is possible. He visits local schools, speaking to students who remind him of himself. He mentors young people, helping them navigate the same struggles he faced. He works with the foundation to create new programs, ensuring that others have access to opportunities that once seemed impossible for him. The more he gives back, the more he realizes that this is where he belongs, not in the glitzy rooms filled with wealthy benefactors, but in the streets and classrooms where real change begins. Malik's journey is far from over. He knows there will always be challenges, but he also knows that he has the strength to face them. He has been given a rare chance, one that could alter the course of his life and the lives of so many others. And as he stands before a crowd, sharing his story once again, he understands that success is not just about where you end up. It is about who you lift up along the way. How would you handle the sudden success and attention that comes with a life-changing event? As the months pass, Malik continues to work closely with the Hawthorne Foundation, helping to fund and build programs for youth in underprivileged areas. What began as a simple act of kindness has turned into a full-fledged mission to create opportunities for those who, like him, have struggled to find a way forward. He dedicates himself to the work, using his own experiences to shape the programs and ensure they meet the real needs of the community. He visits schools, speaks at events, and listens to young people who remind him of his past. Malik knows their struggles because he has lived them. Now, he's in a position to help others break free from the cycle of hardship, just as he once dreamed of doing. His success story spreads across the country, becoming a symbol of hope for many young people who feel overlooked or disadvantaged. News outlets pick up his story, highlighting the remarkable journey of a boy who went from cleaning floors to standing on stages alongside some of the most influential people in the country. His name becomes synonymous with resilience and opportunity. He is invited to television interviews, asked to speak at conferences, and sought after by organizations looking to make a difference. People listen when he speaks because his story is real, his journey authentic. He is not just someone who was given a lucky break. He is someone who used that break to change lives. Malik's family sees a massive improvement in their lifestyle, but it's the emotional growth and empowerment that they cherish most. Moving into a better home, having financial stability, and seeing a future that once seemed impossible are all incredible gifts. But what truly matters to them is seeing Malik grow into the person he was always meant to be. His mother watches with pride as he navigates this new world while staying true to his roots. She sees how he carries himself with humility, never forgetting the struggles they endured together. His family bonds grow stronger, and they no longer live in fear of what tomorrow might bring. They have found security, but more than that, they have found purpose. Mr. Hawthorne, proud of what Malik has accomplished, sees in him the future of social change and justice. Watching Malik transform from a boy who once doubted his worth into a young man who now commands rooms with his presence fills him with hope. He sees in Malik the proof that change is possible, that given the right opportunities, young people from any background can rise and lead. Malik is no longer just a success story. He is a movement, an example for others to follow. Mr. Hawthorne believes that this is just the beginning for him, that his impact will only grow with time. As Malik stands before a packed auditorium, delivering a speech to young students who look at him with admiration and hope, he realizes how much his life has changed. But more importantly, he realizes how much more work there is to do. He is no longer the boy who simply wanted a better life for himself. He is now a leader, determined to pave the way for others. His journey is far from over. but he knows that every step he takes will help light the path for those who come after him. What do you think is the most important lesson Malik learned throughout this journey? In the final scene, Malik stands before a crowd of young people, sharing his story and encouraging them to never give up, no matter how difficult life may seem. The room is filled with eager faces, all waiting to hear from someone who has walked the path they now stand on. He grips the microphone, feeling the weight of the moment. His voice is steady, filled with conviction as he speaks from the heart, recounting his journey from struggle to success. He remembers when he was in their place, wondering if life would ever change, questioning if his dreams were too big for someone like him. Now, standing before them, he knows that dreams are never too big. Only the limits we place on ourselves are. He speaks of the importance of kindness, hard work, and staying true to one's values, knowing that every action, no matter how small, can have a lasting impact. You never know how one moment, one decision, can change everything, he says, scanning the faces in the audience. I didn't save Mrs. Hawthorne's life because I expected something in return. I did it because it was the right thing to do. And that one act led me here, standing in front of all of you, hoping to inspire just one person to believe that change is possible. The crowd listens intently, hanging on to his words. He tells them that success isn't about money or status. It's about making a difference, about helping those around you, about lifting others as you rise. The crowd erupts in applause, inspired by Malik's journey and the incredible changes he's brought to his community. The energy in the room is electric, and Malik feels an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. He sees young people looking at him with admiration, with belief that they too can overcome their own hardships. His story is no longer just his own. It belongs to all of them now, a beacon of hope for those who need it most. Teachers and mentors in the audience nod approvingly, recognizing the significance of what is happening. Malik's journey has become more than just personal success. It is a symbol of what perseverance and kindness can accomplish. As Malik walks off the stage, he glances at his family, knowing that he's created a new path not only for himself, but for countless others. His mother, standing in the front row, wipes away tears of pride. She sees the young man her son has become, the leader he has grown into, and she knows that everything they endured was worth it. Mr. Hawthorne, standing nearby, offers a proud nod, knowing that Malik's potential is limitless. As Malik steps down, he takes a deep breath, realizing that his work is far from over. This speech, this moment, is just the beginning of something greater. He has found his purpose, and he will continue to fight for change, to uplift his community, to be the role model he never had growing up. What change do you hope to see in the world after hearing Malik's story?